Hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all today on our webinar on impact of basic custom duties on Indian solar sector. I am Jyoti Gulia and I represent JMK Research and Analytics, which is a boutique consulting firm having presence across three key segments, which is research, advisory, and we have presence across three key segments like battery management, renewables, and e-mobility. And in our last 1 year of operations, we have been fortunate enough to work with some of the leading names in the sector. And some of the names that we have worked in last 1 year include Vari, Renesola, Growwatt, WBCSD, and IFA, to name a few. Now, quickly on the webinar format, the webinar will consist of interactive discussion with our eminent speakers, followed by question and answer session. Each panelist has 15 minutes to share or present their views. At the end, we will have 15 minutes for question and answer session. Participants are welcome to submit their questions in the chat box or Q&A box at the bottom of the webinar window. We have a great platform here to discuss today's pressing topic, which is impact of basic custom duties on India solar sector. We have the market leaders with us. We have Dr. Hitesh Joshi, Chairman and MD Vari Group, Mr. Ramesh Nair, CEO Adani Solar, and Mr. Parag Sharma, CEO O2 Power. Thank you everyone for taking time out and to be part of this session today. A very warm welcome to all of you. Now, quickly, to set a brief context of our discussions, let's see some of the key facts related to domestic manufacturers in Indian solar market. The 80% of the market is still catered by Chinese suppliers. And in the past 4 years, we have seen that average imported solar cells and modules are worth INR 182 billion on an annual basis. The installed cell production capacity in India is approximately 3 gigawatt, while module manufacturing capacity is 10 gigawatt. However, the operational capacity is much, much lower. So the key initiatives that have been taken over the years for domestic manufacturers, key insights around that. One is the domestic content requirement. DCR is what we say this. It started at the beginning of National Solar Mission in 2010 to utilize domestically manufactured modules and cells. However, after a dispute with World Trade Organization, these kind of tenders were disallowed for a while. But the government is still supporting local manufacturers through schemes like 12 gigawatt of CPSU scheme, Kusum scheme. There's 4 gigawatt allotted under rooftop solar phase 2 program, where there is a condition to procure only domestically produced solar cells and modules. There is a recent big tender, which is a manufacturing tender. Adani and Azure have won SECI's first ever manufacturing link tender. Adani has plans to build 2 gigawatt of module manufacturing capacity with 8 gigawatt of generation capacity. Azure has planned to build 1 gigawatt module manufacturing capacity with 4 gigawatt of generation capacity as part of this tender. Then there's another initiative by the government, which is ALMM, under which MNRE will enlist approved models and manufacturers of PV cells and modules complying with BIS standards. Only approved models in ALMM will be eligible for use across all government-related programs, schemes, and tenders. Effective date for operationalizing of this list is set to 30th September 2020. And then in 2018, safeguard duty was introduced, which was for 2 years, which is about to end on 31st July 2020, which is to promote domestic manufacturing, curb imports from China, Taiwan, and Malaysia. 25% duty was applicable from starting of July 2018, which is later reduced to 20%, and right now it's 15%, which is going to end by end of this month. And as the safeguard duty expires in 31st July, basic custom duty will be applicable from August 2020. Following duties have been announced by Union Minister Mr. R.K. Singh. BCD of 20 to 25% will be imposed on module imports from August 2020, rising to 40% next year. On solar cells, a BCD of 15% would be imposed, which is expected to rise to 30 to 40% next year. Inverters will also be subjected to duties with the proposed rate set at 20% from August 2020. A formal notification from the government is still not out regarding it, but this is what the statements have been doing around across the media. So in this backdrop, the following is the agenda which is there. How significant would be the impact on domestic manufacturers, whether domestic manufacturers would be able to suffice annual 10 gigawatt market demand, how and when domestic module technologies would be comparable to Chinese counterparts, short-term and long-term impact of such duties on developers, impact of BCD on project costs and returns, and how much the market shift will be there from 80-20 ratio of Chinese versus domestic suppliers in next few years. So with this agenda, now I would like to take opinion and views of our expert speakers here. I would like to start with Dr. Doshi. Dr. Doshi, you being the market veteran and the leading player, we would like to know your take on this. What will be the impact of basic custom duties on the domestic manufacturers? And do you think this time with the BCD imposition, domestic manufacturers will be at a level playing field with the Chinese counterparts? Over to you, Dr. Doshi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think there are two things when it comes to the China. When we talk about the pricing and competing the China, as we all know that there is no competition between the Indian manufacturing and Chinese manufacturing in many sectors because of the many reasons. When it comes to the solar, how they have captured from 0 to 90% market of the world in last 7 or 8 years. It was a clear-cut two strategy. One was the scale, of course, of the production and the cost, which we call. The other was the dumping. So when it comes to the competition for Indian companies, we have to see on the two sides. One is the dumping is below much, than the cost even in China, or second is the price. So I will say that competition we will be after the 25% duty, how it will be. And that is reason our industry, the manufacturing industry was asking a minimum 50% duty. That's the first reason. And this we have seen in many other industries, that where the duties are put even 100 or 150%, how the manufacturing has grown. 25% duty on modules, in my opinion, it's not enough. The first difference is the manufacturing cost difference. I keep aside dumping for a minute. When it comes to the dumping in last 6-8 months, from January to June, the prices have reduced by more than 20-25% in China. And there is no reason for this. So when you talk about the cost, that 25% we are talking about at today's price of 18 cents. So we are talking about 4.5 cents. So 4.5 cent price difference between China and India. This is the basic manufacturing cost difference apart from the export benefit. But Indian manufacturers have to also pay the import duties, or they have to pay the higher prices on their inputs, including the raw materials. So the raw material price, what Chinese manufacturers get, the price, and what the Indian manufacturers get, there is a cost difference. So when it comes to the cost to the end user, with 20-25% price reduction in last 4-5 months and due to COVID and other reasons, with 25% duty, I think it is not going to be much impact for the importers of the module. Post SGD. The second question is about the local manufacturers. I think only a 25% duty will not help. If the duties are going to be at 25%, a lot of other support systems will require, because we have seen a 25% duty during the SGD, when SGD came in, and we have seen that there was not much manufacturing has came into the country. So with this, probably either we need to increase the duty from 25 to 50% minimum, or we have to have some more support systems to get the investment into the manufacturing. That's what I think. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Doshi. We understand. Let's quickly take on the opinion from a pure play project developer. Uh, Mr. Parag Sharma, hi. Thank you for joining us and thank you for discussing, taking time out to discuss this pressing topic. We want to know from the developer, what short-term and long-term impact do you foresee because of these basic custom duties? And second, we have seen last week the kind of aggression that we were seeing in the tariffs of 2.36. Do you think because of these duties, there will be rise in tariffs? Parag, over to you.
Yeah, sure, Jyoti, and good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Doshi, and good afternoon, Mr. Ramesh. So I understand it all depends upon the way this whole notification, which is expected on August, is worded. So what has happened in the past is when the safeguard duty order came, everybody was clear that safeguard is levied only till July end. And most of the people were buying modules only after July end, people like us, and they were very sure that even if it gets extended or BCD is levied, there is no incentive to buy from India because you will anyhow be covered under change in law. So unless and until this August notification comes with a very clear understanding that it is for a longer period of time, typically a solar project is constructed in 1.5, 2 years, or from the date of bidding, it is effectively 2 years. So if this notification is only for 1 year, then I will keep assuming that the BCD is 0 because I am going to procure modules only in the second year. And this notification only covers the first year. And hence, nothing will be procured from the domestic manufacturers. But if this notification says that, yes, it is for 2 years, then clearly I am going to procure modules in 2 years from the date of bidding. And then I have to assume whether the 40% additional cost on the Chinese modules is cheaper or whether the domestic procurement is cheaper. And I am pretty sure that difference between the Indian cost of manufacturing and Chinese cost of manufacturing is not 7 cents, because 40% is almost 7 cents. So definitely it will be in the favor of domestic manufacturers. The only thing which Indian manufacturers needs to really take care is that though even the pricing wise, they might become more competitive because of 40% gap, they need to make sure that the quality is there as per the what most of the MNC Indian developers want.
Okay, and do you think the tariffs are going to see an upward rise going forward? Like if we compare it to the 2.36, do you think that is going to change with this?
So every 10% BCD is equivalent to 10 paisa increase in tariff. So if it is 40% BCD in second year from now, then definitely it will be 40% higher. But having said that, safeguard duty is already 15%. So whatever tariff we were seeing in the past, the 250s and 260s, in that also by the time it will be supplied to the discoms, there will be a 10 to 15 paisa increase in tariff on account of change in law. But yes, this 40 paisa is much significant increase. That is something where Indian customers have to bond.
Right, right. There is one more thing, Parag. We still don't see a lot of domestic suppliers in the utility scale solar market. A lot of the domestic suppliers are catering to the CNI segment on those. So what do you think could be the key issue and reasons? Is this the...
There has been a regulatory uncertainty. If the safeguard duty would have been for longer period, though as per statute, it can't be for a longer period, it can be only for a certain period. Or the BCD, there would have been a clarification from the government that this BCD will be levied for a longer period, then the investors would have come by now in India, because they would have got a longer comfort that there will be an additional protection of whatever is the BCD number, 20%, 30% for manufacturing in India. What was happening by now that by the time you will end up investing in a solar project, this 1 year or 2 year period in which the BCD or the safeguard duty is announced would have been over. And then you are again into a regulatory uncertainty whether I will get the price difference or not. So this time I think it is looking as if government is going to give a long-term clarity that this will be the duty for a longer period, and that might lead to more investments in domestic manufacturing.
Great, great. Now to Mr. Nair, thank you for your patience and taking time out to share your views. We have heard the views of Dr. Doshi. We have heard the views of a pure play project developer. So from Adani, we want to know the holistic opinion. You have a substantial chunk of portfolio as a project developer, and you have the largest manufacturing capacity as well in India. So what's your take on this, and how do you see, going forward, these market dynamics are going to change? Over to you, Mr. Nair.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to this forum, and thank you to all the panelists also who have already spoken before me. So that's nice to hear their views. I think I'll start with the BCD thing is the biggest question, and definitely it's a welcome move from the government, and it shows a long-term intention of the government to protect the domestic industry, no doubt about it. Unlike safeguard, which was declared, safeguard also could have been for 5 years, but then they declared it initially for 2 years with the reducing rate. So with a certain grandfathering option given for the developers. So obviously it did not have the desired effect on the domestic manufacturing at all. So in spite of safeguard, the imports were almost 80-90% of the panels being used in the country were getting imported, while the capacity of the manufacturers within the country was getting throttled throughout. So having said that, BCD is a welcome sign, but then as Mr. Doshi said, Dr. Doshi said, it is definitely not enough, because 25% is very small at the panel prices that we see today. It's just about, it's very minuscule, and then the Chinese would always obviate it through some drop of prices and those kind of things. So typically we had asked for 50%, but I think government is trying to take it in a phased way, also looking at the interests of the developers. So I think they're trying to match both the interests, and that's what we see the intention of the government is. But then if you want to truly incentivize manufacturing, then you obviously need to have higher duties and a stronger structure in the country, and a stable policy, so that the manufacturers know once they come in, they invest money in the technology, they have a market, and which is based on fair play, not by dumping from China. So obviously that's the whole thing. As regards development, I always say this has to be seen in two ways. While definitely BCD can have a little bit of adverse impact on the power prices, but then the module prices are also falling as we talk. There is a forex impact also. So all put together, actually it's a bundled up thing. We cannot exactly say that particular one parameter would affect so much, another parameter wouldn't affect, because while BCD may come, as Dr. Doshi said, and I have seen, the panel prices have dropped dramatically. Like in my 3 years in this sector, I've seen the panel prices dropping from 35 cents to as low as something like about 20 cents today, with the slightly higher efficiency panels too. So the 3-year journey has been of reducing panel pricing. And so definitely the duty can have an adverse impact, but then obviously we are also seeing the panel pricing coming down, the panel watt peaks going up. So there is an offsetting of these costs in different forms. And this would keep happening. The panel watt peaks will keep going up. You will find efficiencies going up. So overall development cost coming down as a panel, like today we're talking about 430 watt peak panels, even like somebody's talking 500. This has huge impact on the cost of development typically, because of the amount of panels you need to use, the BOS cost, the cost of trackers, the cost of inverters. All these things actually starts reducing with a higher watt peak panel. So you have to see the whole thing as in totality when we talk about on the development. But as a company, we welcome this BCD regime, and we feel it is good. And definitely the best thing about a BCD is that it is always long term and it is almost indefinite. You can keep it for how much ever time you want as a country. So unlike Safeguard, which is declared for 2 years with a reducing rate, this is at least an increasing rate, maybe for a longer, definitely for a longer period of time. We already see with with the DCR schemes and other things announced, there is already a movement in the country to add manufacturing capacity. I think as we talk beyond what we have won in the tender or Azure has won, we have standalone players are also investing now in cell manufacturing. I think as we talk, we have at least about 1 gigawatt getting added in the country as we talk of cell manufacturing. So in a span of next 2 years, you will find at least about 3 to 4 gigawatts of cell manufacturing coming into the country very rapidly. And so all those things, some capacities which are shut will start off. So there is a lot of positive development in the manufacturing in the country. So I think we have exciting times ahead.
Right. So Adani has plans for backward integration, and do you plan to venture into silicon processing and wafer manufacturing as a next step?
See, as a country, if you really want to be self-reliant and having multiple sources of reliance, you obviously should also get into ingoting and wafering, because today 90% of wafers come from China. So you don't have much of source of wafers other than China. And but you have polysilicon has got multiple sources. So starting from polysilicon, if you move into ingot and wafering, that's when the true self-reliance comes, and we'll have at least raw material security across multiple geographies. But I think cell and module coming into the country itself is a welcome move, because obviously it generates its own jobs. It generates its own the forex. So much of forex is saved. So much of logistics costs are saved. We had an estimate like about 100 gigawatt of development in this country happens through import, you lose about 4 lakh crores of foreign exchange the country. It is just not required. You need to have manufacturing in the country and then work through that. So I think it's slowly pulling up, but then let's hope it picks up faster. That's all I can say.
One more thing, Mr. Nair. So there was a very strong statement from Mr. Gautam Adani a few days back, where he has mentioned that we are going to replace Chinese players in next 3 years. What is your vision around it? How are you planning to do that? I mean, just a few pointers around it.
I think the point is that I think the whole spirit of his statement obviously is that we need to be self-reliant, and it will take a little bit of time, because obviously we have been happy outsourcing manufacturing to China for a long time. So you cannot switch on, switch off these kind of situations. You need to go through a period of transition wherein you shift and you get manufacturing into the country. And it's like, India didn't even have PP manufacturing. That was when this COVID started. So as a country, our focus on manufacturing has always been pretty poor. And we were happy with, our GDP being run through services more than manufacturing. But then China, China has about 30-34% of their GDP as manufacturing. We have something like 16, 17. So I think that the PM statement of 5 trillion economy with 1.2 trillion, I think he has made a statement of 1.2 trillion of manufacturing GDP, which is in itself talking about nearly 22-23% of GDP coming from manufacturing. It's a huge movement. And if that has to happen, every entrepreneur, every person will have to start investing into the country. So it's a journey that I think he probably referred to, yeah.
Right. Another important thing is, in how many years do you foresee, Mr. Nair, this 80-20 ratio to change to reverse?
80-20 of import and domestic?
80, yes, 80% of Chinese and 20% is domestic is what is the current share. Do you think in how many years we can achieve a reverse ratio?
Oh, very difficult to predict, but I don't think it'll happen in the next 2 years at least.
Okay, all right, no issues. Thank you, Mr. Nair. Those are lovely insights from everyone. I think
whatever BCD that has come would not apply to the projects that has already been bid out also.
Right.
So the demand for those modules with which BCD would drive would take at least about 18 months from now to really see the effect of it on the domestic manufacturing. Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I think we have to live with that.
Great, great. Dr. Doshi, I have one question for you related to the technologies and the panel efficiencies. So we have seen that, okay, we are able to, as Mr. Parag has also mentioned, that we are able to match the prices, but it's the technology. So if India is able to catch up to a 330 watt peak or a 400 watt peak, the China has started announcing the 500 watt peak panels now. What's your take on that? And do you think India can be self-sufficient in keeping the pace with the Chinese counterparts in terms of technology?
First, I will tell you about the perception. The first, when it comes to the Indian panel, the perception comes first is that they are not as good as China. But as soon as we go one step down and look to the most developed markets in the world, like United States or Japan, the India is competing where you need a high technology product, high output product, and Indian three large manufacturers are supplying to the United States. So two things, the reality and the perception. Reality is that international market is accepting Waaree or Adani or more products, and we are able to supply what they need. 2 weeks back, we got the first ULIC certification for our bifacials in the world, right? So I'm not saying that we are ahead of China or we are equivalent to China, but probably any good Indian manufacturer, whatever China can give, within a 3 months time, maximum, within a 3 months time, they can provide that product from their units from India. So the first thing what we need to do here is to change the perception about the manufacturers. That we are definitely better, that's number one. And not only for quality, but when it comes to the service, and when the service calls comes, we speak English. We do not forget the English and we do not speak only Chinese when the service call comes. So that two things we need to bring on the ground.
That's very, very interesting views, Dr. Doshi. We completely agree to a lot of that. I think on and off we hear that. There is one recent trend that we have seen, and this question is for Parag, that there are, after this COVID-19 impact and because of ongoing China border issues, there is a close to 1.4 gigawatt of tenders that are being issued by railways, which has a condition for domestic content requirements. So do you foresee this trend is going to go up? Do you think there will be other EPC tenders which will have this condition?
My limited understanding is that at multiple places, there is a requirement to buy only domestic modules. But all these schemes were going slow by now. The whole CPSU scheme, the KUSUM scheme, and all these schemes were by now were really not picking up. But the mood in the government really looks to be that going forward, there will be accelerator pressed on all these schemes. And in my recent discussion, I was told that this whole CPSU scheme, the CPSUs have oversubscribed whatever was the capacity allocated under that scheme. So it sounds good. In the past, there has not been much development on this side, but it is looking so that it will be much better going forward.
Great, Parag. There is, I think this is open to all who can answer it. There is a concern about implication of BCDs on SEZs. So what do you think, how government is government actually trying to address it? If not, then what are the possible ways in which the government can address it?
I think that definitely is a concern by the SEZs on the applicability of BCD. And I think we have represented, and we have also working with the government to bring about a certain scheme by which it can be equitable, sort of where the DTA and SEZ clearances get equitable. So from ISMA also, which is the apex body for manufacturers, we have represented last couple of maybe a year, we've been talking about bringing certain amount of equity in the dispatch criteria of SEZs and DTA. So I think the government is working on it, and we're not sure, but then yeah, about 60% of solar manufacturing, especially the cell manufacturing, is actually sitting in SEZs in this country. So it's an issue which needs to be addressed as soon as possible, and we just hope it gets addressed along with the BCD being announced. That's the
Right. We can take a few questions from our attendees here. And one of them, I think we should mention that if Dr. Doshi, if you want to take on that, that if we want to achieve a 450 gigawatt target by 2030 on an annual basis, we should install India as a market 10 to 15 gigawatt of capacity. So by when do you think India will be self-sufficient to address this kind of a demand?
I think at present, this is a best opportunity, in my opinion, to answer you when. Because this year, due to COVID and other challenges, the various media estimates are not more than a 5,000 megawatt of installations. And to put with the right policies, getting a 10 gigawatt in a year, cell manufacturing, module manufacturing, with the nameplate capacity, we already crossed 15 gigawatt in India. And to make it 30 gigawatt in 6 months is possible. Most of the manufacturers are ready to expand that, including us. So module manufacturing is not a challenge. Bringing a 10 gigawatt cells with the right policies. Unfortunately, presently, like Mr. Nair said, that even if the safeguard duty comes, for the manufacturer don't have the business for the 2 years due to the pass-through. If the similar pass-through advantages are given to the Indian manufacturers, I think at least we will see 3 to 4 gigawatt cell manufacturing immediately in the country, immediately. And then we have the tender, which manufacturing link tender will bring another 3 gigawatt. That makes 6 gigawatt additionals. And the next year we will get another 4 gigawatt. So what we need here is, as a manufacturer, the two things I will say that the ALMM in India as soon as possible. And the second thing is the pass-through advantages, what Chinese manufacturers are getting in India. If similar advantages are given, I will calling it a level playing field to the Indian manufacturers. In my opinion, in 2 years, we will see close to a 10 gigawatt, either under construction or some part completed cell, and probably 25-30 gigawatt of the modules.
Great, Dr. Doshi. That's a very clear vision, I think, coming from a leader. I think which answers a lot of things. Another important thing, Dr. Doshi, if you can only answer that, that we have seen approximately 20 to 30% of the current domestic manufacturers, it's going to the export market. So how do you think, or what do you think going forward with this, rising capacities of module manufacturers? Will exports take a bigger share of your overall portfolio?
It depends, like as I said, first, next 2 years, we don't see any large market for our manufacturers in India. But if you convert this problem into the opportunity here, we are seeing the worldwide anti-China sentiment. And this is a very good opportunity for the Indian manufacturers to expand in India and take the export market also. Now we have to see this year and next year what COVID gives the market total size, which probably worldwide it is reduced to the less than 50% now. And in that, how much India will get. So probably all the manufacturers would like to keep 20% to 25% their share in the export market, and rest they would like to work in India to manage the risk as well as to keep a supply percent.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Doshi. Mr. Nair, there is a question specific for you. What could be the other incentives that government should propose a good plan for manufacturing that would help the domestic sector and are reasonably likely to be brought in?
I think one obviously is the certain amount of capital subsidy. I think the government has addressed it in a way on the new EMC policy, the specs policy, but then there are some exclusions, so that needs to be addressed. Then there is the other thing in this sector is obviously that the technology keeps changing every 2 to 3 years. Not dramatically that you have to change everything, all the equipments, but obviously there is a continuous movement of efficiency. And the last 1 year, I've seen a huge movement in the technology side. So one demand has been from the industry has been some sort of a technology upgradation fund to be given to the industries at a periodic time, so that they can keep upgrading the technology to new things, because there is a certain amount of galloping that happens in this industry, which is typical to any electronic industry. And obviously is to compete with the Chinese or the world market is the interest cost, which we say there is a huge difference between the lending rates in India and as compared to what you get abroad. So obviously that's another area which needs to be addressed, or which in form of some interest subvention scheme or something like that. So all the things are under discussion. We keep talking about it. I think the first one is almost addressed, and the second, third has not moved in, but I think the government is looking at it in a favorable wind. And you need to do all this to get the manufacturing into the country, because at the end of the day, this country needs manufacturing to keep its youth employable. You know, you have lakhs of engineering graduates coming out every year. You have lakhs of youngsters in this country. I think the majority of the population are youngsters in this country. So you need to keep them employed. And I think today, that's one of the biggest challenges this country has. So you have to have a balance between development. Also, obviously that need has to be addressed. We are not saying no to that, but it cannot be at the cost of outsourcing manufacturing. It has to be with manufacturing within the country. A harmonious mix of both would actually help the country to a very, very large extent. It's got multiple gains on all fronts.
Mr. Nair, one more thing. So this new BCD imposition, for how many years are you expecting that? We have heard some 7 years, 10 years. What is?
Yeah, we have said it should be there at least 10 years.
10 years is what I say. Okay, great.
See, the industry is never worried about a stable duty regime. Industry is always concerned, like Mr. Parag Sharma said, when there is a vacillating structure. The industry always adjusts to a very stable structure at any point of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Parag, there is next question to you. I think Dr. Doshi has also mentioned there is a perception about Indian modules. So basically, Indian developers are not having confidence in any of the current big four Indian manufacturers. So do you want to address what could be the possible causes for this or reasons for this?
So, as you mentioned in the beginning, on paper, the manufacturing capacity is huge in India of manufacturing, but really there are very select module manufacturers who are bankable and whose modules can be purchased. So that is what I was referring to. The biggest concern that we as a developer has is that tomorrow we move to a regime where we can't buy any Chinese or we can't import any module manufacturers either through ALMM or because of the reason that there is a higher BCD of 40%. Then is India really having enough modules of good quality to cater to the industry requirement? So that's the challenge that we have. And that's why the whole shift from import to domestic modules needs to be in a phased manner. It needs to be seen. We can see that 12 gigawatt of LOAs have been given for manufacturing, at least on the PPA side, but those PPAs are not signed. So till those PPAs will not be signed, nobody will invest in manufacturing. So there's always these loose ends before we can predict that yes, on ground, people have started adding capacity. Adani definitely has announced 8 gigawatt, But the point is that till the time the PPAs are signed, and we all know that they are 292 PPA, all these LOAs are conditional LOAs. So what we all as a developer are closely watching, that what is the progress on ground in terms of start of expansion of module capacity. And obviously we all know down the line, there's hardly any addition which is expected in the near term. Maybe cell, there would be some, but ingots, wafers, we all will continue importing from outside.
So for a short-term Parag, like we are planning 100 gigawatt in next 2 years now. Do you have any opinion, or do you think the government should make a balanced approach right now in the implication of BCD in a staggered format to achieve that, and then maybe scale it on?
Yes, and I think government will definitely do that. They may open up a lot of things at the module level, but yes, they all know that cell capacity is limited, and so is the other capacities down the line. So the way government acted on the ALMM issue and they resolved it, moment the industry raised it. So I believe similar would be the approach as we move onwards.
Great, great. Dr. Nair, are you think to address this concern about the Indian manufacturers' perception, are Indian companies investing in R&D, or are you have big plans to invest in R&D to improve that perception and to keep pace with the upcoming technologies?
If you look at the top players in India, I don't think there's a concern at all on quality. We export all around to US. Last year itself, I exported about 400 megawatt to US. So there is no concern about. I think I'm sure Waaree does it, Vikram does it. Most of the manufacturers in India are doing it. Renesas or whoever. The concern could be arising from some small scale manufacturers, which I'm not really aware of, but could be there. When Mr. Parag is saying, I have no reason to dispute it, but yes, that could be one area where there could be a little bit of concern. But it's like, Jyoti, it's like a chicken and egg story. You want development, but you want it. You don't want the manufacturing, and you want manufacturing, but you cannot hit the development. So it has to. That's why I said it has to be. Maybe we hit the bus a little late on pushing on manufacturing. We could have done it a little earlier. Then things could have been much better. Though we as manufacturers have been pushing it for a very long time. I've seen it the last 3.5 years I'm in this sector. I've seen it's being pushed even before that. Obviously, there were some reasons or whatever it could be for the fact that it didn't happen. Had it happened at that time, maybe 4 years back, had the push been there in the right sense, then probably this whole talk would not be even happening at this point of time. We would have had the development and manufacturing going hand in hand. But then we probably missed the bus. And so the country has a target to hit 100 gigawatt, out of which we have done about 35, 36 gigawatt as we talk. So we have to do another, to match the PM's vision, we have to do something like about 60 plus gigawatts in the next about 2 years, 2.5 years. So that's a tall target for the country. And so that has to be met. The manufacturing frame also has to be met. So in that context, DCR schemes have been quite effective. I think the CPSU scheme, the KUSUM scheme, the rooftop schemes that has been come out by the government, it's quite well conceived. It needs to be pushed more, because that itself can add something like about 30 to 40 gigawatts of capacity in the country in the next 2 years. You just wouldn't need any utility projects to actually hit 100 gigawatt by 2022. While there's a huge pipeline of about 30 gigawatt of that also as we talk in the country. So a mix of all this would actually be definitely. I think we would definitely hit very close to the 2022 targets as part of the PM's vision. And I think the manufacturing is also with the DCR scheme. I think the manufacturing has got a lot of push. There is a lot of positivity because of that. So the DCR scheme is like it's like an intervening strategy to put the domestic manufacturing in place while the BCD takes over in a phased manner. So I think the whole game probably is being played out quite right at this point of time. So while we wish BCD could have been much higher, yes, that's always there. But then we at least want the DCR schemes to be pushed as much as possible, plus the ALMM, which also, while there has been a relief given to the developers, but maybe in course of time, it will come maybe in 6 months time. We expect it to be back in place.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Nair, I agree to most of what you are saying. This is what the actual scenario is, which is going
It's
on.
like auto sector,
Yes.
like Dr. Doshi said, we had 100% plus duties. So what happened? You know, the manufacturers came into India. We are exporting cars. We have all the manufacturers sitting at different cities and in this country. So there's no, it's a pain a country has to go through to get its own manufacturing. And there's but unfortunately at the same time we are running towards development also, a huge target of development. So I think a balance is being worked out. I understand where the MNR is coming from also.
Right, right. Great, thank you. Parag, I think I would like to take one last question from you regarding ALMM that we are seeing. So I know there are no Chinese suppliers here, but as a developer, do you think that's creating some issue in the plans in your projects where you're planning to specifically if we talk about the recent bidded out projects, do you think domestic modules will be part of it or the Chinese? And is ALM a bigger issue right now in the sector?
So the clarification has already come from MNRE that whenever the ALMM will be notified, 30 days from there, whatever bids will happen, only in those bids, while you are procuring modules, the ALMM will be applicable. So there is no retrospective provision, and that has given comfort to all of us. But having said that, the developer's view is always that already the 40% BCD has been levied, which is significant enough to give comfort to domestic manufacturers. On top of that, as everybody is saying, this whole CPSU scheme, the KUSUM scheme, there's too much of other schemes to incentivize the domestic manufacturing. Now, in the name of quality control, is there really a requirement of ALMM? And what is there in the quality which a developer themselves would not look into it when he is investing so much in a project? So the need for ALMM, I believe personally, is not there. It will lead to unnecessary bureaucracy, government officials going to a module plant, certifying it. So I don't think it is required. But yes, thanks to MNRE, that at least they have clarified that it is not going to be levied from a previous date, and all the tenders which has been bid out, there it is not applicable.
All right, thanks. Thank you for that clarification. I think we can take one last question. Dr. Doshi, maybe for you, that there are huge plans to scale up the module manufacturing capacity. But do you think or do you foresee any issues or challenges in scaling up to that level? And if yes, what can be those issues and how are you planning to address some of them?
Fortunately or unfortunately, the manufacturers of solar products, they had go through in the last 10 years many challenges and many issues. Like Mr. Nair said, probably 7 years back, the government has recommended a 70% duty. And if it should have been there. Now, if you look to the present scenario also, the ALMM was the part of the most of the tenders after the ALMM was announced. And it was a condition of the tender. Like Paragji said that it is not required, but why we were insisting for that? We need a lot of non-barriers. When I started, I said about a dumping. Dumping is not based on the costing or the price. Dumping is purely, we want to dump our goods in this country and make sure that the manufacturing closes in this country. And country becomes absolutely our shame or whatever you call that, dependence. So these things, we had a hope since it was a part of the tender. Most of the tenders were allotted by SECI with the conditions of that. Unfortunately, it got postponed. Again, it got postponed, and now we don't know the date. So such challenges we are saying, which we are saying that the policy once they came in, they needs to be clear, because the manufacturing is something where the investor will only put the money when he has a 7 to 8 years visibility that he is going to get return on his capital. And that is the biggest challenge we are seeing. But whatever the government has taken the steps in last 2 weeks and whatever we are hearing now, if all this comes in, like Paragji also said that it has to be now there. If it comes all these in a place, we don't see much challenge. And as we are also exporting in a good quantity and we are seeing a good momentum in the export market, I personally think that it will not stop any of our expansion plans in future.
Great, great. Thank you so much, everyone. I think those were wonderful and very relevant insights, which the larger audience would like to hear. And I think that brought a lot in clarity about what are the opinions of the manufacturers and what are the concerns that developers have, and which can, and the way in which that can be addressed. Thank you very much for giving your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.